the Lamebeer Phantom Fowl. June 19th, 1988. Forum in Inglewood. Pistons versus Lakers. Detroit was leading the series 3-2 and closing in on their first NBA championship. With just 14 seconds left and Detroit clinging to a 1-point lead, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar caught the ball on the left block, spun baseline, and bumped into Bill Lamebeer. The whistle blew, foul on Lamebeer. Problem is, on replay, it looked soft, really soft. Even Magic Johnson later admitted it was iffy. Kareem stepped up, sank both free throws, Lakers took the lead, and they escaped with a 103-102 win to force Game 7. This wasn't some regular season slip-up. This was the NBA Finals, title on the line, and a single call swung the entire outcome. The Pistons' locker room erupted afterward. Head coach Chuck Daly, Isaiah Thomas, and Lamebeer himself all made it clear they felt robbed, and the fallout was huge. The Pistons, known for their bruising physical style, the Bad Boys, took this as a turning point. They didn't just get angry, they got even tougher, meaner, and more relentless. It hardened their reputation as enforcers and set them up for their championship runs in 1989 and 1990. 1993, Suns vs Sonics Game 7. May 20th, 1993. Phoenix and Seattle squared off in a Game 7 that should have been remembered for Charles Barkley's MVP season. Instead, it's remembered for the whistle. Lots of whistles. The Suns attempted 64 free throws that night, an NBA playoff record that still stands. From the opening tip, it felt like the refs were determined to make sure Barkley and the Suns made it to the finals. Every drive to the basket seemed to end at the foul line. Seattle's big men could barely breathe on Barkley without hearing a whistle. The Sonics, led by Gary Payton and Shawn Kemp, kept battling. But frustration built fast. Kemp fouled out. Derek McKee fouled out. And by the fourth quarter, the game felt out of reach, not just because of Phoenix's play, but because Seattle simply couldn't stay on the floor. Media outlets at the time didn't hold back. Local Seattle papers blasted the officiating. Even some national analysts questioned whether the league was pushing for a Suns-Bulls finals. Barkley versus Jordan, MVP versus reigning champ, exactly the kind of blockbuster matchup the NBA wanted. And while the league defended the game's integrity, it added fuel to a growing perception among fans. That star power mattered as much as talent when playoff stakes were highest. Barkley and the Suns moved on to the finals after winning 123-110. But this wasn't a clean victory in the eyes of many. For Sonics fans, it became one of those nights where every foul call didn't just feel wrong, it felt scripted. Tim Donaghy betting scandal. It's the one scandal the NBA wishes you'd forget completely. Because this one wasn't about players, teams, or even bad calls. This was about a referee, the guy on the floor holding the whistle. Tim Donaghy worked as an NBA ref for 13 years, calling playoff games, big moments, and championship battles. But behind the scenes, he was a gambler, not just at the casino. He was literally betting on games he was officiating. Donaghy got in deep with professional gamblers and fed them insider tips, injuries, ref assignments, which crews like to call things tight. All the little details that could swing a point spread. And he didn't stop there. He admitted that he made calls that affected the outcome of games to help cover bets. Free throws here, foul trouble there. Nothing too obvious, but enough to push a result a few points one way or the other. The FBI got involved in 2007. Donaghy pleaded guilty and served 15 months in prison. But the damage to the NBA's image was far worse. For a league that always insisted its games were clean and fair, this was a nightmare. David Stern, the NBA commissioner at the time, tried to frame Donaghy as a lone wolf, an isolated case. But Donaghy had other ideas. After prison, he claimed NBA officials worked together like cliques, favouring star players, stretching games for TV ratings, and even influencing playoff outcomes. 2002. Lakers vs Kings. This game is legendary for all the wrong reasons. May 31st, 2002, Staples Center, Lakers vs Kings, Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals. The Kings led the series 3-2 and were on the brink of knocking out the defending champs. But when the fourth quarter hit, things got weird. The Lakers shot 27 free throws in the fourth quarter alone. The Kings, just 9, and these weren't small fouls. Chris Webber was in foul trouble. Vlade Divac couldn't catch a break. Even Mike Bibby caught an elbow from Kobe Bryant straight to the face. No whistle. And somehow, Bibby got called for the foul. By the time the dust settled, the Lakers won 106-102, forcing a Game 7 back in Sacramento. The Kings, who'd been the best team all season, suddenly looked like the league's sacrificial lamb. The backlash came instantly. Fans and media weren't just upset, they were outraged. Ralph Nader, yes, the consumer advocate, wrote an open letter demanding an investigation into the game. But it didn't end there. Years later, when disgraced ref Tim Donaghy blew the whistle on himself, he claimed this game was part of an orchestrated effort to extend the series for ratings and revenue. David Stern and the NBA flat out denied it all, calling Donaghy a liar looking for a deal. But that didn't matter. The damage was done. The Lakers won Game 7 in Sacramento and eventually swept the Nets for the title. But for many fans, Game 6 felt like the day the NBA stopped feeling fair. Even now, 2 decades later, this game lives in infamy. The night when trust in the whistle completely vanished. Patrick Ewing to the Knicks. May 12th, 1985. The NBA needed a boost. Badly. Ratings were down, attendance struggling in some cities, and New York, the league's biggest market, hadn't mattered in years. Enter the first ever NBA draft lottery, designed to stop tanking and inject some drama. David Stern reached into a spinning drum containing 7 envelopes, 1 for each non-playoff team. When he pulled out the winning envelope, it was the New York Knicks. Jackpot. They'd get the rights to draft Patrick Ewing, the most hyped college star since Kareem. Madison Square Garden exploded. But then came the whispers, and they never went away. On replay, one envelope in the drum had a clearly bent corner. Some said it was chilled. A frozen envelope, so Stern could identify it by touch. Whether bent, frozen, or both, the theory was simple. The NBA needed the Knicks relevant, and this was how they did it. Did Stern rig it? He always denied it, smiling and brushing it off as conspiracy talk. No proof ever surfaced. But fans across the league didn't buy it. This became the original NBA conspiracy, the moment when the idea that the league could guide outcomes went mainstream. The Knicks got their star, and Ewing led them back to relevance. But New York never won a title in the Ewing era, and the frozen envelope myth stayed part of NBA lore. Star treatment era. It didn't take a scandal or FBI probe to convince NBA fans that something was up during the David Stern era. You could see it right on the court. The league's biggest stars just seemed to get friendlier whistles when the stakes were highest. Michael Jordan driving to the rim. Better not breathe on him. Kobe Bryant in the post. Any contact. Foul. LeBron James on a fast break. Automatic trip to the line. And this wasn't just a fan conspiracy. Multiple former referees, including Tim Donaghy himself, later admitted that the NBA's culture encouraged managing games to protect stars and keep marquee matchups alive. It made sense from a business perspective. The NBA under Stern was booming globally. Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, they weren't just athletes, they were global icons, the faces on billboards and shoe deals. Protecting those stars meant protecting the league's ratings, ad revenue, and narrative. But it came at a cost. When fans watched playoff games and saw superstars getting calls that role players wouldn't dream of getting, trust eroded. Players knew it too. Even coaches admitted they had to adjust defensive strategy around star calls, especially in big moments. Stern never admitted any favoritism. To him, this was just part of the entertainment business. But players, coaches, and millions of viewers noticed the pattern, the subtle but real difference in how whistles blew for megastars. Lakers vs Blazers collapse. June 4, 2000, Staples Center. The Lakers, led by Shaq and Kobe, were supposed to cruise past Portland, but by the fourth quarter of Game 7, the Blazers were up 75-60 and looking ready to shock everyone. The crowd in LA was flat, the Lakers looked gassed, and the Blazers seemed on the verge of ending the dynasty before it began. Then the whistles started coming, and so did the collapse. Portland missed 13 straight shots as foul after foul kept sending the Lakers to the line. Rasheed Wallace picked up critical fouls. Brian Grant was in trouble too. Calls that looked clean on replay had the Blazers bench fuming. And while the Lakers ramped up their energy, Portland looked shaken. Kobe Bryant took over late, weaving through defenders. And then came the iconic alley-oop, Kobe lobbing to Shaq, one arm raised as he slammed it down, clinching the Lakers' comeback. The building erupted. The Lakers won 89-84, capping a furious 31-13 fourth quarter. But what stuck with fans, especially in Portland, was how the officiating seemed to flip momentum. The Lakers shot 37 free throws that night to Portland's 16. No formal allegations were made, but plenty of media and fans pointed out the obvious imbalance. That win launched the Lakers dynasty. 3 straight championships followed. For the Blazers, it was the beginning of a dark stretch. Players left, the roster unraveled. That Game 7 collapse became a ghost that haunted the franchise for years. Even today, ask any Blazers fan about 2000 and they'll mention that fourth quarter. When whistles and a collapse combined to change the course of NBA history. And that's it. Which scandal do you think we left out? And which among the ones we listed shocked you the most? Comment down below. As you leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more amazing videos like this one.